Preparing for NaNoWriMo with guest Jessica Guernsey.
Hello and welcome to How to Survive Until You're Published, because if you're drowning in words, so are we, and you might as well not do it alone.
We are super excited to have Jessica on today. Welcome.
Hello.
I'm going to read your bio really quick, but Jessica Guernsey writes fantasy and sci-fi short stories with a degree in journalism from BYU and a master's in publishing from WCU. Her work is published in magazines and anthologies. By day, she crushes dreams as a slush pile reader for multiple publishers. During November's NaNoWriMo, Jessica is a municipal liaison for the Utah Elsewhere region. Frequently, she can be found at writing conferences. She isn't difficult to spot, just look for the extrovert. While she spent her teenage angst in Texas, she now lives on a mountain in Utah with her family and a bossy mini schnauzer. Discover more stories at jessicaguernsey.com. Thank you so much for being with us today. We're super excited to have you on.
Thank you for inviting me. This is going to be fun.
This is great. Yeah, I love how one of our focuses of our podcast is getting everybody prepped for NaNoWriMo, and you would just love NaNoWriMo. So,
oh yeah, I may have a problem.
Okay,
it's a good problem though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so let's just start with the basics. So do you want to kind of explain what NaNoWriMo is for those that have never done it before?
Sure. NaNoWriMo is 30 Days of Literary Abandon. It stands for National Novel Writing Month. The goal is to write 50,000 new words in 1 month. Now, 50,000 is more of a novelette than a novel, but the point is there. You're just supposed to write 50,000 words in 30 days. That's what it is. It takes place in November, although there's also Camp NaNoWriMo, which takes place in July, and I want to say April. I never do Camp NaNoWriMo. I'm sorry, I'm too busy. But those are also 30 days of literary abandon. However, you set your own goals for those. So if you'd rather be editing, or if you have a different word count goal, then maybe Camp NaNoWriMo is where you want to be looking.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
It is a lot.
A lot of writing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's most people's fear with NaNoWriMo. So what is your process to kind of prepare for NaNoWriMo, and how do you break it down so it doesn't seem as daunting?
Okay, so October is known as Preptober. Now, while you're not supposed to do any writing before November, you can do all the prep work you want. You can make your vision boards, you can interview your characters, you can have your Pinterest all organized and how you want it. You can do all the research, you can craft your outlines, all of it. If you like outlines, I like outlines. So I do.
Outlines are great.
We do too, yeah.
When I started writing, I did not. I was an absolute pantser, 100%. So I never did outlines. And in fact, when I first started doing NaNoWriMo, I didn't do any prep at all. I had an idea and that was it. I just started writing November 1st. It was a hot mess. But hey, I still won. I have won every single year for the past, and I can't believe I'm about to say it is 20 years.
That's amazing.
I'm elderly, you guys.
Wow.
I hope to be able to say that one day.
Yeah, I hope you can too. It's honestly, and it's more the bragging rights now that push me, because I cannot break my streak. I can't.
You can't.
I may sure
learn really sad.
So I do a lot of prep work during November, and during October, I'm so sorry. And one thing that a lot of people don't prep, they prep their stories, and that's great, but they forget to prep their lives. So I do a lot of life prep. So I make a lot of frozen meals so my family doesn't have to eat only, quote, cereal. I also reschedule appointments. I do not have any appointments in November unless it's absolutely an emergency. My children are old enough to drive themselves, so I make them take their sister to her events because she can't drive yet. I don't schedule anything. I don't even go to outside meetings during November. If it's your birthday during November, which it is my daughter's, I'm so sorry, we're celebrating it early, and things like that. So I make it a priority. And another thing I do is I absolutely protect my writing time. So I know in one of your other podcasts, you guys talked about the why you write. And that's a big part of NaNoWriMo too, is you have to remember the why you write. And that's something I do in October. I remind myself why I'm doing this, because it's gonna get hard. And it's a lot easier to think about why I want to do it in October, where I'm still excited and it's super fun, and not in November where I'm sleep deprived and haven't been outside in 9 days, you know?
Yeah, no kidding.
So the October is a lot of prep. Like I said, I do my outlines, and I have forgotten the question, so I'm probably waiting.
Oh, no, you're good. You completely answered it. I do kind of have a spin-off question with that, though.
Yeah.
You talked a lot about prepping, like your family too, and like protecting your writing time. How do you establish those boundaries with people? Because I know a lot of times too, especially when you're first starting off writing, right? Everyone's like, oh, that's just your hobby. You can come out, you know.
15 books later, and I still get you have such a cute little writing hobby. I have to try hard not to throat punch people sometimes. Okay, it helps that I'm short and I can't reach throats easily. So how I prep people is that I explain what I'm doing and why it's important. And so hopefully if that person respects you enough, they will respect this boundary. And when you say, I'm sorry, I can't do that, I'm writing, they'll respect that. You would hope. Otherwise, you learn something valuable about that person, and maybe you set further boundaries after November. But my children know, I have them so well trained at this point. My husband just knows that November, there's no date nights in November. There's no date nights unless I'm really stuck. Sometimes there's a date night then, but he has no expectations of me in November. I love this man. He's amazing. You can't have him. He does the laundry in November. He does most of the dishes in November because he just knows how important this is to me. It's not a hobby. It's my career. It's my passion. And he respects that. So it's really hard to set those boundaries, especially if you're like me and you're a people pleaser and you're used to dropping everything. And it was really hard for me in the beginning because I didn't keep that writing time sacred. And it took me 3 years to complete my first novel. Well, not my first, but my last novel that I wrote, because I did not respect my writing time. And I kept letting other things take priority over that. So also, if you have little kids, it's really hard. And so there are special rules during November when my kids are little. I mean, like I said, I'm quite elderly. So 2 of my kids are adults now. And I hate saying that. That hurts. And my youngest is 14. So they're very capable of getting their own meals and, arranging their own rides and taking care of themselves. I do occasionally check in with them to make sure they're still alive and no big catastrophes have happened in their worlds. But for the most part, they're self-sufficient. When they were little, it was a much different story. I had... Okay, nobody called Child Protective Services. She turned out great, okay? She's a college student. She has a job. She turned out amazing. But I had this very large cardboard box. And when my oldest was a toddler, she doesn't sit still at all. So I would put her in the large cardboard box. Why not a pack and play? Well, because pack and plays are see-through. And if she could see me, she wanted to play with me. So cardboard box, she can't see me. Now I can see the top of her head. She was fine. And occasionally I would throw in toys, like little toys, little squishies every now and then. And it was like manna from heaven. It was just, she had so much fun because, oh my gosh, a brand new toy just bonked in my lap, And so she had a great time.
That's so cute.
Also works really well in car trips. But and then periodically, I'd let her out of the box. We'd play. Sounds terrible. We'd play. I'd make sure she had snacks. And then, when it was time to ride again, back into the box she went. Now, by the time I had 2 kids, my oldest was old enough that she was really good at keeping her younger brother entertained. But also, I only let them have TV time when it was time for me to write.
Good incentive.
Yeah, there was no way they were going to leave their precious TV to come bug mama. You know what I'm saying? They were like, Power Rangers way more important than what mom is doing right now. So that was also another big way to work with little kids. With little kids, it's really hard. I mean, one year I had a nursing infant.
Oh man.
And one year I was 2 weeks away from giving birth. It's a lot of contractions in that chair, I tell you what.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
I don't recommend it. I don't. But and also that 1 year I even lost the use of my hand and my wrist.
Oh my gosh.
Surgery. So I dictated a lot that year. I used a lot of speech to text, different apps and everything. And I would send myself emails. And now I still do that. Like if I'm driving somewhere and it's like a 20-minute drive and I get an idea, I send myself a speech to text email as I'm driving. And then when I get home, I paste it into my document and, edit it because, text to speech or speech to text isn't that great sometimes, especially with names. But so there's a lot of different ways you can set up your time and protect it. The hard part is enforcing those boundaries. And, been really lucky.
I've got a 1-year-old, 15 months old. And so we'll see how this goes. And I've been very slow on introducing him to the TV because I really don't want him to get sucked in.
Right. I get that. No, I get that. Dollar Tree, get really cheap little toys and surprise him with them. Because when kids are that little, the new thing is the cool thing. It's the thing they want. So, inexpensive little toys. Every time you get up for a stretch break, give him an inexpensive new little toy and he will just, he'll have a great time.
And the box idea is not a bad idea either.
I mean, I tried the pack and play with like a blanket over it, but over the edge. But yeah, she just pulls that in and, oh, look, it's mom. It's like peekaboo. I also tried writing during nap times and sometimes that worked, but sometimes it was like, trying to pry the words out with a crowbar.
So through the month of November, how do you pace yourself so that you can reach the goal at the end?
It's recommended that you write 1,667 words per day to reach 50,000 words by November 30th. You don't have to do that. In fact, I don't write every day. I know writers everywhere are clutching their pearls. I do not. I cannot write every day. It's not how I work. I don't think you have to either. You find what works for you. You write how it works for you. So how I pace myself, and this is where when I teach the class on NaNoWriMo, I do math, and I hate math, and math is hard. My daughter is a math genius, and she obviously did not get it from me. But you need to do writing sprints. A writing sprint is where you set a timer, and you time, and you just write. And when the timer goes off, you record how many words you wrote during that sprint. Now, you're going to need to do a series of writing sprints, some in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, whenever you can, just all during the day, because our brains are different and we're going to be more alert or more tapped into the creative side at different times of day. And also in different places. I know people who cannot write at home. Now, for me, I cannot write if I'm not at home. It's really hard for me. Like if I go to like Starbucks or somewhere, because I want to people watch. I don't want to write. I want to make up stories about the people who are walking in. It's hard for me. So if you like writing in other places, try it. If you want to write in your office or in a desk space, if you want to write on the couch, if you want to write at your kitchen table, if you want to write at the local coffee shop, if you want to write at the library, things like that. Write in different places, write in different times a day, record your results. And that's going to tell you when your best time of day is to write. I always thought for me, it was in the evening. It's actually not. It's in the late afternoon for me. And it's definitely not in the morning. I cannot word before noon. But and also you're going to find your best place to write. So like I said, I write really well in my office. I tried writing in bed. No, I fall asleep. I can't. And I can't write on the couch because I have too many people in my house and they make a lot of noise. and I get distracted because I have ADHD and everything is shiny and I want to look at it. So I have to be in my special space. I don't know if you can hear my dog in the background. She is quite loud with her chew toy right now, and I apologize. But it's usually 3 feet away from my dog because she can't handle not being close to me. But you're going to find your best time, your best space, and that's when you want to schedule it. Okay, remember I talked about having your sacred writing time? That's when you want to schedule it. No appointments then. Don't go out with friends. Don't plan to clean your kitchen. Although, if you're really stuck, maybe clean your kitchen because I find that helps. But so the writing sprints are going to help you not only gauge when and where, but also how much. So if you can write for 15 minutes and you get down 200 words, that's amazing. Okay, that's really good. And that's your speed. I have friends who don't bat an eye at writing 5,000 words a day. If I wrote 5,000 words in one day, I think I would break. I think there would be goo leaking out my ear that's supposed to stay in my brain. So you have to find how you write, where you write, and how much you write. And from there, you're going to gauge it. I usually don't write on weekends unless I'm behind or unless the mood strikes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I figured out how to connect those 2 scenes. And I go and I pound it out really quick. So you're going to always want the buffer days also because you're going to get behind. It's just a matter of life. And also you're going to want the break days to let your brain rest and also to let the story digest. If you're a pantser, you might need the break days a little bit more to let your story points connect. At least I did when I did the pantsing. If you want to write every day, absolutely go for it. More power to you. There is also something that people like to do, and I think it's called a reverse nano, where you start writing like 2,500 words on day 1, and then the next day you write less, and the next day you write less. And the goal is that you only have to write 1 word on November 30th. I tried that 1 year, it didn't work. I couldn't do it, but I know people who make it into a game and they have to write a certain number of words at this time on this day. And, it makes it more fun for them besides just getting the story out and getting their words in. I don't need that complexity. But if you do, there's lots of different options that you can look for.
That sounds like too much math for me personally. But
some people like math. My daughter makes spreadsheets for fun.
We need people like that though.
I agree. She's quite valuable. She's made me many a spreadsheet.
So how do you stay motivated, especially when you get behind? Or how do you not let that stress you out too, if that makes sense?
Okay. Yeah. It is hard. And there is something called the week 2 slump. So week 1, you power through and it is amazing. And then when you start getting into week 2, it's a little like, oh no, what have I done? And maybe your your characters have derailed your story, or maybe you painted yourself into a corner at one point. Bad things happen in week 2. And it is the week where the most participants will drop out. And that's just something you should be prepared for. It gets hard at the end of week 2. But if you can power through and make it to week 3, your chances of winning are exponentially higher. So I reward myself, and I'm trying really hard not to reward with food. So I have my gummy bears. I have my gummy bear system, which I say right after I said I don't reward with food. And I have a very elaborate system, depending on how many words I got in that particular sprint, depends on what combination of gummy bears I can eat. Because I'm very strange that way. But I like to reward myself in small ways. So the gummy bears are per sprint. Sometimes I do a per day. And that's usually like an episode of my favorite show. Now, I can just watch 1 episode and be fine. If you're the kind of person that needs to watch an entire season, maybe don't use that as your reward. I also have one big reward at the end of the year or at the end of the month, something that I've wanted that's been on maybe my Amazon wish list for a while. Last year, it was this particular dress. Really wanted the dress. I got the dress. It did not look very good on me, but that's not the point. The point is I got the dress. So you have little rewards set for yourself also. I like dance breaks. I have a button. It's not down here in my office right now. Where is my button? I think a child stole it. But it's called the 60-second dance break. That's literally what it is. So you push, or maybe it's 30-second. You push the button and it plays music for 60 seconds. And then you just dance. And that is really good to get my blood flowing, to make my legs not so stiff, make my butt not so flat. So I have those little rewards that I work in, the non-food rewards and the food rewards. I have the like date night rewards. If that's something that motivates you, the hard part is finding what's gonna motivate you, because some people are not motivated by getting a new dress at the end of the month. The year before, it was a pair of shoes. They're really cute shoes. I love those shoes. So it's different. It's little things that I wanted, and they weren't particularly expensive shoes. I think they were like $35. I could have bought them at any time, but the point was that was my reward. I earned it, and I wear those shoes a lot, and they're super comfy. So, and then maybe I like those shoes a little bit better because I earned them. So the rewards have to be something that fits your personality and something that's really worth working toward. I have a friend who she does rewards every week. Is it every week? I think it's every week. It might be every 10,000 words, where she wraps them up as presents. And then when she reaches that goal, no matter where she is, even if she's only opening present number 3 and she's got 5 days left before the end of the month, she still rewards herself with those. And opening the present is just, it just gets your goblin brain. She's like, oh my gosh, presents. So that's a reward for her, even though she knows what's in it because she bought them herself. She still likes to unwrap the presents. So that's something you could do. Reward yourself with a book. Don't read the book until after November, but there's different things that you can do to keep yourself going. One other thing, see, I told you guys I could talk for hours about this.
No, you're doing great. Yeah, this is great.
One other thing that I really like to do is get yourself a buddy. It is so much better when you have someone to write with. I tell newbies when they're just starting out in NaNoWriMo, join the community. Read the forums, post, join the Discord. The Discord for my region is particularly active. In fact, we are active year-round. So if you ever wanted to come in and do a writing sprint, there's usually someone in there who's happy to sprint with you. Or if you're stuck on your story, there's usually someone in there who can help you brainstorm ideas. It's really active year-round, most especially in November. We do write-ins through the Discord, where write-in is where you get together. Now, we're an elsewhere region, which means we are spread throughout the state. Anywhere that doesn't have a physical region, you get stuck with me. Now there's like a Utah County region, there's a Salt Lake region, there's an Ogden region. So those places have their own Discords. They have their own municipal liaisons or MLs who run the Discord and who run the write-ins. And get involved in the community, because the accountability buddies are the best thing. It's someone to sprint with. It's someone to check in and say, how is your writing going? Or do you need to talk about any points you're stuck at? It's someone to help you get unstuck. Someone who I'm thinking I might do this in the next scene, but this is what this character is like, and I'm not sure what that character would do in this scene. It's someone to bounce ideas off of. So it's really, really great opportunity. And the write-ins, we have ours mostly through Discord or through Zoom because we're spread all over the state. I'm located in Utah County, but most of the people are actually in southern Utah because there's not a region down there. So we have a lot in Cedar City and in St. George, mostly college students. And so they'll get on if they can, and we'll do writing sprints, and we'll do word games, and we'll talk about our stories, and we'll be silly, but we'll also be serious. So get your accountability buddies. Get someone who's going to check in on you and who you want to check in with. And that is a big thing to push you to keep going during NaNoWriMo.
I love that. That's
I
awesome.
would second that. Like, honestly, I think the only reason I won NaNoWriMo last year was because Amy and I had a small group of people that were holding each other accountable.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It works wonders.
Yeah. So how have you seen, just in your writing in general, how has NaNoWriMo helped your writing? Like, you as a writer and your skill?
Okay. A big part about NaNoWriMo, and something that I hear a criticism about NaNoWriMo, is that you're just learning how to write junk writing, because you're just writing, and you don't care. No, that's what a rough draft is. You're supposed to get the story out. And a lot of people who I've seen this over the years, I don't know how many times, people will say, oh, well, I think this story is too important, or the story is too good to write during November. So I'm going to step back and I'm going to really write it and not just do it in 30 days. And when I check back in with them, guess what? They haven't finished it because they lost that push. So the NaNoWriMo is the push to get the words down. There are stories that I've written that have been buzzing around in my head and, blocking out other ideas when I've been working on a project, and I have these other stories that keep buzzing, and I'll write those. I'll write those down, get them out of my brain. I've tried different genres, something I would never have written before. I wrote my first romance during NaNoWriMo. And it's a fun genre. I'm not very good at it. Flirting is weird. But there's so many positives on how it has helped my career. They say that you have to write 1 million words in order to be any good. I've written 1 million words just during November, but also outside November, I've written a lot. So it's getting the words down, turn off your editor, and just write.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like when I got to the end last year, it did feel like just junk words were coming out. And I mean, I'm really glad I did it, because I feel like I learned how to just push myself. And then the months after that, I set a word limit goal, or a word goal for the month, and then I would pace myself kind of the same way I did. So it taught me a lot there. But yeah, it's a lot of words.
And you know what? You may delete them in editing, and that's fine. Or you may reword entire sections, and that's fine. But the thing is, you have something to edit. Like the saying goes, you cannot edit a blank page.
Yeah. With that, if you decide to go back and like rework a chapter, how would you count the words there?
All right, so
that's the nitty gritty, but
yeah,
this is a
very controversial technique. But my number one rule in NaNoWriMo is don't delete. The only words I delete are the misspelled words. But if I'm writing and I write a line of dialogue and I think, oh, no, I should say it like this, I hit enter, I write it like I should have said it, and I keep going because I've already written those words. I earn them. I will also change the font color of things I know I'm going to edit out later, and that makes it easier in the editing process, but I've still earned those words. I should still keep them. So that is really hard for a lot of people. For me, it is also part of turning off my inner editor and making it shut up and just let me write, because it's like, yeah, I know I can write that better. I will later. Or okay, I'll write it now, hit enter, write it, and then go on. But I don't let trying to find the perfect word or the perfect line of dialogue keep me back, because I've been stuck for days on getting it perfect. And that's not what NaNoWriMo is about. NaNoWriMo is getting the words out. It's not about getting them perfect. That's what editing in December is for.
That's perfect. Okay, that answers my question. That's perfect. So we only have a few minutes left. But I wanted to ask, what are some tips that you would give for if you're doing NaNoWriMo for the first time, just for those out there that are just starting with it?
Oh boy, I think I've already given them. Get involved in the community, join the Discord if they have one, read the forums. Writing doesn't have to be lonely. Join the write-ins, get involved. It is a lot more fun when writing the words when you're sprinting against someone. Get an accountability partner and turn off the inner editor. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard, and it takes practice. But you've really got your goal is to get the words out, not get the perfect words. That's what editing is for.
That's great. And I think that does like really well. Like it's a really good summary of everything you've already kind of said. So we do like to leave our listeners with a challenge.
Okay.
So what challenge would you give our listeners in concerns with NaNoWriMo?
I would say start your sprints. Find the time that you write the best. Find the place you write the best. And find your motivation. So start your writing sprints. Do them in the morning, do them in the afternoon, do them in the evening, do them for different periods of time. I can't go for longer than 25 minutes or my brain wanders. I know people who go for an hour and they get so much done, and that's great. So find what works best for you before NaNoWriMo begins. So do your sprints, find your time, find your location.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun. I hope I didn't ramble too much.
Oh, no, you did great. It was super helpful. Yeah.
Okay, good.
And I hope everyone else finds it super helpful too. Yeah.
Because if you're drowning in words, then so are we, and you might as well not do it alone.